Well, good evening, everyone. All right, we'll try again. Good evening.
Good evening.
There we go. Well, good. Today is June 17th, 2019. You have come to the Rowan County Commission meeting, second meeting in June. We are honored that you have decided to spend time with us this evening. It is truly our honor, and we hope that this evening that you'll find your time profitable. So we begin our meetings the same way we always do. We do a couple of things. We're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. Is Michael here? Yeah. And then we have a chaplain who's going to come forward, and he's going to provide for us what's called a solemnizing prayer. Solemnizing prayer means that that's for the commissioners. It is not for you, it's for us. We take what we do very seriously, and we seek wisdom as we work on behalf of the citizens of Rowan County. And so we're going to begin with that. And commissioners, if you'll join me, we'll get started.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for this day you bless us with. Thank you we can come to this meeting tonight. We thank you for our county commissioners and the work that's been done behind the scenes before they got here, dear Lord. Thank you for their dedication to this county, dear Lord, and we pray you give them the wisdom they need for this meeting tonight, Lord. We thank you for this privilege that we have today to represent you, dear Lord. Pray you could just guide us, lead us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chaplain Taylor, we appreciate, as always, you being with us. Hope you're well. You're getting there? Well, that's good. All right, commissioners, so the agenda has been provided for us. Do you have any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, then do we have a motion to approve the agenda as provided?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes from June 3rd have been provided for us. Had a chance to go through those. We have a motion to approve the minutes of June 3rd.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The consent agenda, items A through M. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we have anyone? Yeah, we do. We've got one that signed up for to speak during public comment. Jeff Hall, come forward. Jeff, good to see you. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Jeff Hall, 460 Udy Road, China Grove. Also, I'm the library director. Speaking here as the library director, not as a citizen. But I wanted to recognize three of our Friends members who have come to the meeting today and have done great things for our Friends group. Susan Waller, if you please stand. Sammy Henshaw and Barbara Courier. These fine folks have raised numerous dollars for the library over the years. Just this past year, $51,000 they contributed to library services. And in just a little while, during their presentation, Melissa O'Lean will give you some of those details. But I wanted you to recognize them, and that's the reason I asked to speak. Thank you.
Jeffy, thank you. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here, and we'll hear more about the library from the Friends later in our meeting. Okay, we'll move on quickly then to item number 3. And that is from Commissioner Caskey, approval of resolution and bridge naming request in memory of Officer Robert Y. Clement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We received requests from Senator Ford, who was working with Ms. Eller, Officer Clement's wife, on renaming the bridge after the Officer Clements. It's the Bridge 141 on Stokes Ferry Road on SR 1004 off South Second Creek, High Rock Lake backwater. There's several things that have to be done before that can happen. I think the one of the first things is that we have to pass a resolution here recommending that and supporting that. We also need to provide a time for the public to have their input. So I think it's more than fitting that, we honor this individual who gave all that he had for our community and laid down his life for us here. As many officers go out every day, know that you never know when you're going to make it back home. And just the willingness that this gentleman had to go out and serve his community, I think it's just this honor is not even a portion of what we should be able to provide them. But I think the process is for to go ahead and open for public comments, and then I'll read the resolution and we can pass that.
Do you want me to read why we're here today? I'm on page 4 of 5. I don't know if you have that in front of you.
Page 4 or 5.
So there's the resolution. So we'll have you read the resolution. So let's
Yeah, I don't have that, sir. Oh, I got you. Okay. No, I can read that.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. Officer Robert Clement moved to Rowan County after being hired as a police officer with the East Spencer Police Department. He was promoted to sergeant over patrol, then served as interim police chief with East Spencer. He joined the Spencer Police Department, where he was a patrol officer. He was married to Linda Hill Clements, a Rowan County deputy. They have a son, Robert Clement II, who was a toddler at the time of his death. Officer Clement was shot while attempting to serve a warrant assisting the East Spencer Police Department. He was paralyzed after the assault, but later succumbed to his injuries. He was an active member of the Liberty United Methodist Church and lived in the Liberty community.
All right, thank you. So we will open the floor if there's any public comment for anyone that would like to say something. Yes, come forward and give us your name. I think I know.
I'm Robert Clement II. I think we're here today talking about my father. I just want to say thank you for considering this dedication. It really means a lot to my entire family, and I think just having something that the community and the public can see every day with his name, and that my family can see every day, just having something visual that they can see, that knowing he's not forgotten, it really means a lot. And I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, if not, then we'll close the floor to the public hearing. And Commissioner, would you like to read the resolution?
I will. Let me say, I appreciate his son has spoken at multiple events, and I know that's got to be very hard for him and the whole family. There's a lot of officers here today, and I can understand why it would be hard to come up and speak. These are very emotional issues, and officers deputies don't like to be emotional, but this is a very somber event, and just so those at home that could see, this whole room is full with family and police officers that are here to support this. Resolution in memory of Officer Robert Y. Clement. Whereas the Rowan County Board of Commissioners find it would be fitting and proper to honor the memory of a slain police officer, Robert Young Clement, who was a Rowan County resident and member of the Town of Spencer Police Department. And whereas Robert Y. Clement is remembered as a kind and generous man who loved his family, friends, and co-workers. And whereas the Rowan County Board of Commissioners wish to memorialize Robert Y. Clement for his career in law enforcement, for his dedicated service and sacrifice to the community, for the country, to the state of North Carolina, and to the citizens of Rowan County. Now therefore be it resolved that in the memory of Robert Y. Clement, the Rowan County Board of Commissioners does hereby request and recommend to the North Carolina Department of Transportation that bridge number 141 on Stokes Ferry Road, SR 1004, over South Second Creek in Salisbury, North Carolina, be named the Officer Robert Y. Clement Bridge. Be it further resolved that upon said designation, the North Carolina Department of Transportation is requested to have the appropriate signage erected to make the general public aware of this dedication, this the 17th day of June, 2019.
All right, you make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
Just want to say that Senator Ford has been able to secure the funding for this. So that's one of the reasons we're able to move forward with this time.
Yeah, I saw that, so thank you to Senator Ford. There's some funding that comes along with this just for cost of signs and whatnot, so his office has provided that, and that's a good thing. To Ms. Clement, do you go by Robert? Bobby. Bobby? Yes. Thank you for being here. I think this is kind of appropriate. This is right on the heels of Father's Day. So I didn't know your father and your husband. Sounds like the kind of guy we wish that we had known. So it's an honor to be here today to do this and representing the county. And our prayers still go with you. We know it's still a painful event, but we honor him today by doing this, and thank you for starting this process. This is a great thing. Thank you, officers, for being here. I know that means a lot to them. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments? All right, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so I think we want to get a picture with you guys. Is that okay? Would you like to do that? Is that what you want to do? Yeah? Okay.
Elaine's going to take the photo.
Okay, Elaine. Okay, you got, all right. Commissioners, yeah, if we'll come out.
No, Greg. My daughter too, she couldn't come.
All right, would y'all stand and give them a... Those of us who are not in law enforcement have a hard time understanding how you do what you do. Our chaplain has left. He runs a program called Shield a Badge with Prayer, and I hope that you'll do that for our law enforcement. Pray for our law enforcement, our first responders every day. Most of you know that our own Commissioner Caskey is a police officer with the Charlotte Police Department, and I think there's ever a time we're not on the phone that we don't sign off by saying, be careful. So we appreciate you guys and appreciate the sacrifice that your family has made. So thank you. All right, item number 4. The purpose of this is for us really to vote as a commission to move ahead with this permitting assessment. I'll simply say on this is an issue that has been discussed for years and years. And kind of the way I put it is, as Rowan County is trying to become more competitive in the region, and frankly, this is a global economy now, there are things that we are working on to try to improve. We could throw a lot of those things into that category: education, crime, drug use, quality of life issues, our infrastructure that Commissioner Pierce has worked hard on, just a whole lot of things that we have to be really good at in order to compete in the marketplace for good jobs that are looking to land somewhere. Some things are very hard for us to improve. They're hard to improve. It takes some time and a lot of effort. Some things are completely out of our control. An example of that would be location. We are blessed with great location, so we're not worried about location because we have great location. But some things are difficult to improve. They take time. If we listed all of the things that companies look at when they're trying to decide where to locate a business, again, some of those things we can't control, some take a long time to fix, but some things we have complete and total control over. And one of those things is our response to our development process. And so as communities around us and around the state and around the region are paying attention to their development process and trying to improve that quality, we're looking at the same thing. And so we have a lot of departments that touch the development process: the health department, environmental, the fire marshal, the planning department, and permitting and inspections. And so what we want to do is look at that process from start to finish, whether someone is building a deck or putting in a pool or building a million square foot manufacturing facility. We want to take a look at every step in that process, because we truly believe that in order for us to be competitive, there are some things that we're going to have to be the very best at. Some things we may not be the best at, even as hard as we try doing that, but some things are completely within our control. All of the folks that work in these departments are unbelievable people doing a remarkable job even today. But we want to take a look at that entire process and see what things can we consolidate, what things do we need to expand on. And so I saw an article in the Salisbury Post that said that we were looking to consolidate departments. That's actually not what we're necessarily trying to do. We're looking at the process. This is about looking at the process of development from start to finish and determining how do we make it quicker, more efficient, more cost-effective, and more predictable, because predictability with a big company is very, very important. So having these conversations with the county manager, with some of the departments here that we're talking about, especially our planning department with Shane and Ed Muir, was determined that we would seek outside help, a consulting firm that does this specifically, a firm that could look at our planning process, permitting process, and make some recommendations to us. They'll apply Lean and Six Sigma standards, and on the backside of this, we should see a smooth running process, and that's what we're looking for. So you've been provided with kind of a proposal for them, and Mr. Manager, is there anything that you would add to this?
No, I think you've covered it.
I think I beat that horse enough.
I'll just say we received a lot of proposals from different companies across the United States and narrowed it down to two and had interviews in person, and this was the one, the group selected that was doing the interviews.
Okay. So the county manager put together a group who would, they solicited some proposals for companies, and they interviewed, and this is the one they've selected. And so I'd like to make a motion that we move ahead with Matrix Consulting Group and looking at streamlining our development process. And make that in the form of a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? All right, fine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, wonderful. Thank you. Item number 5, John Brendel, Register of Deeds Software. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think we're just looking at the software we already have in place, is just looking for our renewal agreement. It's just a bump up in what it's going to cost again for another 60 or another 4 to 5 year term to push that out. It's just a small amount increase to make that happen. Currently, I think we're paying $21.90 a month. That's going to $22.95, which is $105 more a month than we're paying now. The software system is has been a big change for us. When I started in the office in 2008, Carl Ford still laughs about it today, but there was an electric typewriter on everybody's desk. We had one caching system that didn't communicate with any other part of the office. Since then, we have a caching system now that allows us to 6 different registers. Everybody's workstation can be turned into a caching system. We have one typewriter left in the office. Made a lot of changes. We went from recording everything at the counter now to electronic recording. In the first year, electronic recording, we took 4 documents. It's grown to over $500,000 now comes through the wire every year through electronic recordings. Those documents don't come across the counter anymore. A lot of things have changed. We've just recently put in place a property check where we've, along this software system that we're looking for these changes. It also allows the citizens or anybody who has property or anything listed in Rowan County to put a fraud check on their property. So anytime somebody registers something using your name, you get a notice or notification through email, a text message to let you know that something's happened and they use your name in that process. That's been a big help to us for that. We just recently put another round of historical records on file, the 1753 to 1921 zone, and we just added the 1954 to 1974, which is going to help tremendously with abstractors or paralegals and attorneys who are searching. Those are the year records they really are using the most, and they can do that now from their office without coming to the office. So that preserves our books, makes them last longer, and people keeps their hands off of them. They're there available, but this lasts longer, people's not using them. The projects for preservation, the stuff we've done, all come through the software system. That was able to scan all these images in. With 300 to 400 books were scanned in, over 300,000 images added to the system because of this software system. It's something we can grow with. It's got more things we can do. It's been a big help to our office, and just with that alone, I was able to cut 3 full-time positions because of that software system. So it's saved us quite a bit over time. Those vacant positions were cut, and some was converted to part-time positions, and we still today do not use all that part-time funds, but we may eventually with the passport program going the way it's going, we may start using it more towards that direction. But before I left today, we looked at numbers to that. We're 1,279 passports executed, 1,189 photos taken, and $57,000 to general fund today. So it's going really well. Think of vet programs in a good position. We've raised over $10,000 in the last 3 years and given it to veterans here in the county. There's 1,500 Think of Vet discount cards been issued. 15% of our veterans in Rowan County carry the card. Of that, we've had 800 more DD-214s that have been put on file since that program, which was our goal, to get those on file. We send letters to, every time a deceased veteran passes away, we send letters to the informant or surviving spouse to let them know there is benefits that they're allowed to have, and we let them know where to obtain those benefits. A lot of things have come along with those stations, and this software system's helped our office quite a bit. When you look back where we used to be and where we are now, it's a big deal for us, but it's been good for the county, it's been good for the employees.
Well, John, thank you. We're really proud of what your office is doing and your leadership. I was with an attorney last week, and he was telling me when the FERC license, the Federal Emergency or Energy over the Alcoa and Cube relicensing, he was hired to figure out ownership of the Yadkin River clear back to the king. And I'm not talking about Elvis either. I'm talking about the king back in Britain. And because of what you guys have done with putting records online, they're able to find that information. So they have had just nothing but great things to say about
Correct.
Register of Deeds office and what y'all are doing. So,
Great staff, they make me look good.
well, and that's a job. So,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
yeah, we appreciate you. So, this didn't necessarily need to be on active agenda, but they've got so much going on in the Register of Deeds office. I wanted John to come and kind of give us an update about all the activity they have going on, and that's a lot. So we appreciate you. So do we have a motion to approve the Register of Deeds software?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, John.
Thank y'all,
Have a
appreciate
good
it.
night, buddy.
You too.
All right, Friends of the Rowan Library, good to have you here.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Melissa from the library. I'm here on behalf of the Friends of RPL, and they thank you for granting them time on today's agenda during a busy meeting month. Jeff already went over the friends that we have with us in the audience today. We wanted to give you a brief background on the Friends and how they support the library. When I was preparing for today, I actually realized that, and Sammy, you may already know this, but this is the 50th year that the Friends have been in existence, so yay. In 1969, there was a group that was formed called the Rowan Citizens for Better Libraries, and they were organized to assess the needs of the library and the community. And then 10 years later, in 1979, they formally changed their name to Friends of Rowan Public Library. In 1997, they became a nonprofit. They have a 501c3 status, and they continue to hold that status today. They are run by a 13-member board of directors. They meet monthly, and the majority of the time during these meetings is where they hear library requests for funding, and then they decide whether or not they want to fund those activities. Since its inception, this organization has had the same three goals: raise money for the library, give money to the library, and positively impact the library based on the needs of the communities that the library serves. And they have a variety of revenue-making endeavors, and I would stress that all of these endeavors are completely volunteer, organized by volunteers and run by volunteers. The top three would be their book sales. They have an ongoing book sale that's available at all three library branches, and they're really excited when West Branch comes on board to have an ongoing book sale at that location. They also have an annual book sale, and these two things combined raised about $12,000 to $16,000 a year for them. They also sell literary-themed gift baskets. They provide a rental DVD and book program. They sell Friends beverages at the library. They sell tote bags, and they do have an annual membership drive as well. They provide literary road trips through Colette Travels, and they've been doing those for a number of years, and they're very popular. In 2018, they joined with Better World Books for their resale program. They give money in three general categories. The first is programming. The major programs that they help us provide are Stories by the Mill Stream. That's in its 20th year. Every second grader in Rowan County gets to hear 3 professional storytellers at Sloan Park. That I say little program, but that little program reaches 2,000 second graders, public, private, homeschool second graders throughout the county, and it costs about $10,000 to put on. They provide funding for our summer reading programs. We're in week 2 of summer reading. We do 17 programs a week for 7 weeks, and that does not include the 7 outreach sites we go to through our bookmobile program. That program costs $15,000 to $20,000 a summer to run, and the Friends provide all of that. They also provide a music series at the library for folks who might prefer not to go to a bar or a concert venue to hear live music. They make that available. Another area they give money in is technologies. They've provided us with 3D printers, media stations, specialized furniture to house, hold, protect the different technologies. They allow us to purchase exploratory technologies for show and tell programs. This is really a fun one because, say, you might have heard about the Amazon Echo or the Google Dot or Home. Well, the Friends gave us money so we could purchase a variety of these and then offer a program where people could come to the library, test them out, see if they liked them, learn the pros and cons of whether or not that is something they would be interested in without having to spend that money themselves. One thing I'm really excited about is for a couple of years we've been struggling with a book scanner. These things are expensive, and the Friends have just approved us to purchase a $6,000 book scanner for our history room. This will allow people to scan books without really pressing them down, and they will also provide really excellent resolution. So when you make that scan, it's not going to look curved like the book might be. They also provide money for staff development. They have a scholarship fund where library staff that have enrolled in graduate school for their master's in library science, they will provide them with scholarship funds. We currently have 3 staff members who are working on their master's in library science, and that goes a long way to generate goodwill with the staff, and they're very appreciative of that. They help pay for special registration fees and training programs. Leadership Rowan, they help me with that tuition cost. And other special training conferences and workshops. So on average, the Friends provide the library with over $40,000 a year. In 2018, as Director Hall mentioned, they provided us with over $52,000 in funding, and that includes the $15,000 donation to the West Branch Library Project. In the first 5 months of 2019, they've donated over $25,000 to the library. So that's everything in a very concise nutshell. On behalf of the Friends, I do want to thank you for supporting their plan to have a space at the West End Plaza for ongoing book sales. They have had volunteers inquire about that, and they're very excited for that opportunity. We're also excited to be able to sell withdrawn library materials year-round through the Friends. That will, a number of pluses. I'm excited because it will free up valuable storage space at the library, and we can keep that continually moving. So that is all I had prepared today. I thank you for your time and your attention. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I just have a comment. Melissa, I just want to really congratulate you and the Friends on being a wonderful example of public-private partnership.
Oh, thank you.
And we can make our resources go a long way when we do that.
We really can, and the way the Friends can come in and, you know, we might offer the core program, the staff, or the space, but they can help us just, you know, knock it out of the park and go that extra step to make it, to reach more people, to provide it more places, to make it last longer.
Melissa, do you know when you might actually start construction at West Rowan Library?
I do not. I believe the
Well, let's
demolition.
put Mr. Hall on the spot back there and ask him.
We hope to have bids go out 1st of July, and that'll be about 28 to 30 days after that, we hope.
That's great. That's great.
We appreciate the commission's support of that project.
Well, it's a great project for all of western Rowan County. We have an issue up there with our internet service, and kids will be able to go to the library if they can't do it at their house, do their homework on there. And so there's just a lot of excitement about having a library there. And now that we've got all the old school down, I was hoping that we were going to get started soon on the construction.
When you mentioned public-private partnership, the citizens of this community, including the Friends, have donated $325,000 to that project.
Wow.
So thank you for your support as well.
Well, Melissa, we don't have a whole lot of reports that we do here, but when Jeff asked about this for the Friends, we said, well, absolutely, because y'all mean a lot to this community. And we wanted to honor you by having you come do a report, and we appreciate your time and for everything you do for this community.
Thank you, I
So,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Melissa, before you go, you got to teach this grandpa here how to bring his grandson to the library now and
Okay.
pick out books he could read.
Well, duly noted, duly noted.
Thank you. All right, Aaron, is Aaron here? So consider a request for Dragon Boat Festival. Permit to exceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, it's that time of year again. We got the Rowan County Chamber of Commerce is requesting the permit to exceed for the Dragon Boat Festival as PE 0319. The Dragon Boat Festival is scheduled for July 27th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. over at the Shrine Club off of Long Ferry Road. And they're expecting about 3,000 people this year. With a permit to exceed, there are 10 conditions to consider before approving, and those are the timeliness of the application, which they got to us on May 30th, well in advance of today, the nature of the requested activity, which is a lakeside festival, the previous experience with the applicant, and this is our 6th year working with them, and so far we've had no complaints, the time of the event, which is July 27th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The other activities in the vicinity, and there are none to our knowledge. The frequency of the event, it's an annual event. The cultural or social benefits of the proposed event, and this is going to benefit the Rowan County Chamber of Commerce Small Business Program. The effect of the activity on adjacent residential areas. You can see there's just this residential area right here next to the Shrine Club. Previous violations, if any, and there have been no violations. And then the adjoining property owners need to be notified within 72 hours of the meeting, and we posted notice on June 6th, and we also mailed notice on June 6th. If you have any other questions, both me and Elaine are here to talk to you.
Any questions for Aaron? All right, well, we think this has been proven to be a good event, brings folks from all over the southeast here. I'm ashamed to say, I don't think I've ever ridden in a boat where we've won a race. It is very tiring, and so does the county have a boat this year, Aaron?
I think we're going to, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not paddling. That's too hard of work. Well, good. Well, thank you for doing this again this year. Is there anything you want to add to it?
Thank you. On behalf of the Rowan County Chamber of Commerce, we'd just like to extend an invitation for all of our commissioners and all of the attendees here today to join us on July 27th. It's just a great family-friendly event, a fun day on High Rock Lake, North Carolina's second largest lake that we are just honored to have in our community. So appreciate your all's support, and look forward to having you out at the Shrine Club on July 27th for our 6th annual Dragon Boat Festival.
Well, good. Well, thank you. So any questions for Elaine or Aaron? If not, do we have a motion to approve PEO 3-19?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Mr. Stewart, consider PEO 2-19 request from Mikey Wetzel.
Good evening. So continuing our theme for events on the lake.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I think I messed up. I'm going to put you on hold for 1 second because this required a public hearing, public comment, and I did not allow for that. So I'm going to back up. And on the Dragon Boat Festival, I do need to hold public comment for that, so I apologize. You guys normally correct me. All right, so Shane, is that okay? You don't need to go, you don't need to leave. So we're going to open the floor for public comment on the Dragon Boat Festival, if anyone has anything they'd like to comment on. All right, if not, then we'll close the floor, and I wish Jay were here, but go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make the motion again to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Shane, sorry about that.
So this request is from Mikey Wetzel, and it's also for an event on High Rock Lake, and very likely the only event that I know of that ever would be over the open waters of High Rock Lake. So this would be a music venue set up on a pontoon boat and a floating platform near Goat Island. And if you look at the screen here, see Goat Island identified here. This is Goodman Lake Road, Providence Church, and up here is Long Ferry. But the event is proposed for Sunday, June 23rd, and it would be during the hours of 1 and 5 p.m. And it would have live music playing on the floating platform. Again, it's on the water, it's not on the island. So we've had some communication with various first responders, Sheriff's Department, also the wildlife folks, and Miller Ferry. They're all on board. And also I believe the applicant has spoken with Cube and received their blessing too. But pretty neat event here proposed for the county. The typical 10 standards, I didn't see any issues with any of those. We did send out notice to 125 property owners that are immediately along the shoreline here, just to let them know about this, or the event date and time, and also this meeting.
Okay.
Any questions?
Did anybody respond to any of the letters?
Last week, I believe we had one person that was concerned about the event. I'm not sure if they were in attendance or not, but I think we had one other call, and they were in favor of the event.
Okay. All right. Anything else from you?
No, sir.
No? All right. Stand by. All right. So like the last one, although I'll get it right this time, we're going to open up the floor and receive public comment for the motion to consider PEO 2-19. So do we have anyone that would like to speak? Yes, so just come forward, state your name and your address for the record. And welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I'm James Shepard. I'm at 520 Persimmon Cove Road. I am one of the closest houses to Goat Island. The peninsula that goes out to Goat Island, my sister and I own that also. Goat Island has been a big, huge problem for us, and now you're trying to make it bigger. With this music venue going on out there, there's no facilities. All my land will be used as a bathroom. There's also concerns from Goodman Lake Road that people will walk through my land to go to this venue, as you're calling it. It is an island, it's not a venue. The noise, what is it going to be limited to? What's decibel? Is it going to rattle my house? No one knows any of this. What are the trash receptacles? There's no trash receptacles out there. And also, the hugest thing is the, 3,000 people? Does anybody know how many people are going to show up? Is there any facilities? They're going to just go use the bathroom in the water? That's the health risk. So you're having thousands of people peeing in the water, drinking beer all day. And this is a very big, bad thing that's trying to do right now. And I will have the overflow. And if this does happen, I need some kind of police protection. Do I get an officer an acre? What do I have? You have one little boat that's out there for the state. You have a secondary boat, I don't know if it's running, for the Rowan County, not state, I'm sorry. They're not going to be able to take care of that. Do I get an officer an acre? What will I have for my protection? My vandalism on my land, they'll tear down my trespassing signs. There'll be wads of toilet paper laying everywhere. And I don't run a public restroom. But this is definitely a detriment, not an improvement. If you want to have it, you just had a concert 3 weeks ago at Boat and Ski. And if people don't care about it at the Shrine Club, have it at the Shrine Club. I don't want it around my land. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Do we have anyone else? Welcome, and state your name, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you. My name is Margaret Woodrum. I'm also an adjacent property area owner. And just to add to some of the things that Mr. Shepherd stated, we also have a family business in this particular area where there are annual sites that are leased out, and there are very strict rules for those sites. Their permanent residents are not allowed. It is also an area where families come to gather, and it's not an area that they come to gather to witness some of the things that we witness every weekend at Goat Island. The things that wash up are unbelievable. We get not only the beer cans, the whiskey bottles, the hypodermic needles, the drug paraphernalia kits, the wallets we found with all the razor blades in them, the stuff that goes on over there. And if you say this is in the water, I mean, that's one thing, but it's still not an acceptable location because, number one, of the facilities, like Mr. Shepherd mentioned, we deal with this weekend all summer long. And now the noise just from the boats that get out there, they hook themselves together in a flotilla. They block this channel. It's a very, you can look at the map, it's a very narrow channel. And so for some of the rescue people that might need to come in, it's very dangerous. After the boat and ski event, I witnessed these several boats that had hooked themselves together that came floating down, and they were not floating, they were actually driving, and there were people that were drunk hanging on the sides of these boats in the water while the motors were running, falling off all over the place, and then they just hung around hours after the actual event took place. And it was not well conducted, and the behavior was unacceptable. The explicit loud music you could still hear when you went inside, and that's just from boats. That's not an organized music event. So the noise level will be well beyond. And this is a family lake. We want to do something positive for High Rock Lake. I mean, people are already, I live in the Summerfield, North Carolina area, and everybody I know goes to Smith Mountain Lake because it's a much nicer lake. And I'm like, but my family has owned property here, and I'm proud of my lake. But I'm not proud of the things I see that happen at Goat Island. It's not an acceptable venue for this. So.
All right, well, thank you very much. Anyone else? Welcome.
My name is Janet Marsh Shepherd. I have considerable holdings on High Rock Lake in the area that you are planning to allow this variance. How can you change a variance and an ordinance just to suit one group of people? Okay, I'm coming from Greensboro to Salisbury on a pretty weekly or more weekly level. Are you going to give me an exception? Let me do 90 because I'm usually running late and need to meet with someone in the site rentals that I have? Can you do that and just change a speed limit law to accommodate one person that says they want this? Who's liable? Is Mikey Wetzel liable if there's shooting and stabbings and drugs? We've had people airlifted. They were just drunk. They ran together on jet skis. But they didn't know that they were unconscious because they were drunk. You know what it costs to have a helicopter come and airlift drunks to Baptist to have them checked out? This thing has been nothing but we call it Sodom and Gomorrah. Any of you that are Bible scholars would know what that means. And we call the area between where the island is and my property, we call it the urinal. It is apropos named. I would love for any of you to come on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and listen to the wakeboard boats with their speakers that blow the decibels through the roof, and they play that filthy, filthy rap music. I mean, it's bad enough to hear any music played loud, but to hear that filth, and you want to have peace and sit on your deck on a Sunday afternoon, and this is what you get to hear. Believe me, you wouldn't want it in your yard. And you don't want all the people all over the property using it as their bathroom facility. And they throw all their garbage and junk out, and it washes in, and we get the pleasure of cleaning it up. Week after week, year after year. It's been very frustrating. I do have very strict rules on the land that I lease to folks, and many of these people have been with me over 20 years. It's not a campsite per se with campers lined up. I have 50 feet of lake frontage and about 100 feet deep. There are no back lots. This is a special place for people to be able to come, families. You wouldn't believe the grandparents that come and say, I want to teach my grandkids to swim or to fish or to ski or whatever. And it's very peaceful. The lots are kept beautifully. They are always mowed and maintained. One time, about 20 years ago, I had a call to the sheriff's office, and 4 sheriff cars or deputy cars arrived, and they said, we never get a call on your campsite because nothing ever happens. Everything is calm. And if you interview any of my tenants, you will hear all of them say, ask them one word, identify the campsites, peaceful. And that is what people need in this rat race we're living in, with job pressures and families falling apart and everything that goes on. They need a place. And they say, once we close the gate, it is a gated community. Once we close the gate, we feel like we have died and gone to heaven. This is our retreat. This is our escape from the rest of the world. So I really hope and pray that you will deeply consider not allowing this variance. And if you do, I want to know if Cube Hydro is liable. We've had shots fired, we've had stabbings. And in the middle of a Sunday afternoon, you will see one couple that's drunk out of their minds having sex in front of 50 other people. This is just lovely to encourage anything like this on High Rock. We've taken it for years, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I will do what I can to let you know how very opposed I am to this. And I would also like to issue an invitation to any of you to come down some Saturday or Sunday and get to hear what this music sounds like. I mean, just from the boats, not the amplification of having a live band with speakers. And how would you like your quality of life to be ruined on a regular basis and you don't have peaceful existence? You ought to be able to sit on your deck and enjoy God's beauty. And you can't. So please, vote against this. It is not what it sounds like from our presenter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Next.
I'm sorry.
won't take up much time. I'm Patty LaFevers, and I just want to echo what she just said. It is a retreat. It's a getaway, and I don't want it ruined.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mikey Wetzel, the person trying to help coordinate the event, and I feel really bad for the Shepherd family over here. I can vouch they're very nice people, very Christian people, very much family, and they do have to, unfortunately, where Jimmy's house is, where Goat Island is, it's a party spot on the lake. What you heard, though, is not a complaint about this event. This Goat Island happens regardless. Every Saturday and every Sunday there's boats out there, and yeah, they play some raunchy music. So I want to shed some light on what we're trying to do and how it's going to be impactful, like what's going to change versus a normal Saturday or Sunday. So first of all, we're trying to we have an old pier. We're trying to tie some pontoons to it, anchor it out, point it towards the island. That's away from Jimmy's house. That will hopefully help the music a little bit, but it's not going to take it all away. I mean, he's going to hear it from his house. He's about 2,500 feet. But I believe him that he can hear the music from his house. We're doing this in the middle of the day. We're doing it from probably 1 to 3 p.m. or 2 to 4 p.m. A band plays for about 2 hours. We asked for the permit for 1 to 5 just to kind of cover bases. But the thought is in the summertime, a lot of times the thunderstorms come in around 3:30 or so, and obviously the band doesn't want to even risk getting their equipment wet. So the plan is that just like a boat could be out there having its stereo up, we're going to have instead of, a radio, instead of an iPhone playing, it'd be, a guy in a microphone and some guitars and drums and put a band out there. We think it's going to be kind of cool. We think it's going to be less than what Goat Island would normally be because, like they say over here, is that there's some raunchy music coming out there. There's some rap music. There's some foul lyrics. Daryl Harwood is a popular band in the area. Some of you may have heard of this name. He raised a lot of money for charities. He's the one who played at Boats and Floats, which is the event that Jim mentioned that happened over Memorial Day weekend. Well, he's a country band, he plays covers, and he does a family-friendly show. He's involved with a lot of charities that are children's charities, in fact, and there's a lot of times children up dancing on the stage. He's just not a raunchy kind of guy. At the Memorial Day, he raised $10,000. $1,000 of that came from Go Burrito, $1,000 of that came from City Tavern, and this is the type of stuff the guy does. Usually you pay him money, if you want to hire him for your venue, then you got to pay him money, but for things like this, he does for charity. So he's really excited to do it, something he's wanted to do for a while. I mean, I wish he was here and he could speak for himself, but he's just a wholesome guy. He's not typical of the kind of music that sometimes comes from the island. Now, as far as the safety and those kind of issues, we got approval from NC Wildlife, who's going to put extra boats out there, and said, how can we help? We got approval from the Sheriff's Department, Kim Behringer, who said we'll put extra staff out there, and how can we help? We got approval from Miller Ferries Fire Department, which has search and rescue boats, and they're going to put extra boats out there and said, how can we help? We got approval from Cube Hydro, which is formerly Alcoa. They were concerned originally that this was going to be on their property and that would create insurance headaches, but we're floating a little away from that, pointing towards the island. As far as the volume, I'm afraid that I don't know how to answer that, but when we had Boats and Floats, I mean, I wasn't involved in that, but when they did Boats and Floats, they projected pretty far out into the cove, and there was a lot of residents that were affected by that, not just one. Jimmy does, I admit, he lives on that peninsula. The rest of that, there's no other people in a residence that are going to be affected by this at all. The campground is around the corner. I know that when I leave that area, the music's far, far behind. So as far as the safety and people in that cove, the wildlife said they want to make a perimeter and not only keep people safe, but they also want to keep the band safe because if boats go by and create rollers. And we're trying to think about a lot of things here. We're trying to do something different, and any event you do, you're going to find people who live nearby and might be upset about it. It's unfortunate because those people, their opinion should count too, right? I feel bad if we get approval for this event. you know, I do feel bad for you guys, but it benefits a lot of people, and people are going to have fun, and people in this county want something fun to do. You mentioned, Chairman, you mentioned earlier in this meeting how the county needs to do some things to make improvements in all areas, including quality life and people wanting to live here. High Rock Lake is the second largest lake in North Carolina. I'm on some committees to promote the lake and try to get stuff happening out the lake. We don't want to turn it into a booze fest. Will there be drinking out there? Yeah, I would bet money on that. That's what happens every Saturday and Sunday at Go Island. This is no different. As far as trash receptacles and things like that, we're not adding to anything. I mean, we could put a boat out there and turn the radio on and people dance to it like they do every weekend, or it could be Daryl Harwood out there. As far as people trespassing on that peninsula property, I haven't heard of that. If that's true, I feel bad for Jimmy. I'm not aware of that. I don't see why that would happen. I mean, usually people are on their boats and go to the island and then face outward. Normally their music plays outward towards this house. We're actually projecting towards, and we're not that far from the island, so we can't, normally a concert plays really loud. You can't play too loud when everybody's only like, 100 or so feet in front of you. The band, we don't know. We'll go out there, and this is kind of a learning experiment. We'll see how it goes. In full disclosure, if this goes well, we would like to do things like this in the future. I mean, maybe not at Goat Island, but somewhere on the lake. Wherever we put it, wherever we try to do something, I think we're going to get objections. There's people going to have houses nearby. There's going to be land. One thing that I think that Goat Island over the years has turned into a party spot, I don't know, but there's not a lot of houses around that area on that side of the island. I don't know if that was a factor, but I mean, there's houses on the other side too. So I do just want you to know, I mean, I feel bad for you. Jimmy, I do. I mean, if you're going to take that attitude, I mean, still, I feel bad for you. Your name had come up in my friends when we talked about it. We said, we don't want to upset Jimmy. And we were actually hoping that because it's country music and Daryl Harwood, it's not the typical rap music, that, you might be actually like, okay, this is not going to be as bad as just a normal Saturday. And as far as the number of people, this is what our thoughts are, because I had to answer this question to Cube, I had to answer this question to sheriffs, I had to answer it to NC Wildlife and to Miller Ferry. I said, how many people do you expect? And it's like, well, it's kind of weird because people are going to have a boat. We anticipate that it'll be busier than a normal Sunday, but less busy than, say, Memorial Day weekend or July 4th. So if we were trying to take a weekend and blow it out of the water and there was going to be 10,000 people on the lake that the first responders had no experience with dealing with that many people, I can see why that would be an issue and a cause for concern. As far as insurance, everybody we talked to, including Cube, was that there wasn't a cause for insurance because we weren't on someone's property. If someone gets hurt on my pontoon boat, then obviously that I'm responsible for that. If people are out there doing some of the debauchery acts, what they described is, in their own experience, it's a typical Saturday and Sunday. Now, there's emotions are very high. I think there's some cherry picking and exaggeration. I go out to the island a lot, and most time it's calm, but there have been times in my 10 years of going out there that, yeah, I've left because I saw people fighting or somebody puking off a boat, just something unbecoming that I didn't want to be associated with. But this event is going, if we get approval for it, we are going to try to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. The reason for that society is that Daryl Harwood, the main performer, is a survivor of leukemia, and so that's a cause that's close to his heart. And I don't know if you have any other questions. I think you should probably give them another chance to speak to rebut anything that I said. But if you have any other questions.
So will there be an MC for the event?
It's not a well-organized event. I mean, it's literally talking to a guy in a band who wants to play on a platform. And so we have logistical things to figure out, like how are we going to get him out there? What are we going to do if a rain comes? By the way, if the rain comes, it's not going to happen. And so,
Well, I asked that because, if the board were to approve it, obviously the smart thing would be, listen, this is a first. and you guys can either determine that this could happen again or never happen again.
Yeah, and we don't want to create an event where everybody goes, wow, that was a horrible idea that's never going to get proved again. And the event at the Boats and Floats, for instance, I mean, a lot of people came out for that. I don't know what to say. When people boat, they're out there having fun. There's a lot of people that party. Boating accidents are a real thing. Drunk people hanging off a moving boat. I mean, there's nightmare stories out on the internet about what can happen with drinking and boating, for sure. I don't deny that at all. I don't see this as anything different than a Boats and Floats or any other thing. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody come out and do drunk driving citations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's called a BUI, a boating, while I don't know if that's slang, but they call it a BUI. But yeah, people get those all the time. Yeah, and the state upped it used to not go on your driving record, and now it does. For instance, me, I'm usually pretty even kill out there because I have a liquor license for my restaurant. If I get busted, I lose my liquor license. So I'm usually pretty even out there. But
the other thing,
and I assume that people would with the additional presence, there will probably be more citations issued that weekend. Like, people should wise up to not the best weekend to go crazy, and not the best day.
The other thing that I've got some experience with is as far as like putting a shell on the back of your platform to make sure the sound goes the direction you want it to.
Well, I mean, the speakers are directional, but we are trying to. We have weird logistical things, like how do we going to put a generator, and how do we shield the generator from not making noise? And
yeah, I know.
If you're blaring it as loud as it goes, projecting out thousands of feet, I think it doesn't matter. But the boats out there, as Jimmy can attest, are pretty loud on a 12-volt battery. And when I talked to Daryl Harwood about what type of equipment he needs, I'm like, I mean, look, you could just plug into a boat for all that matters. I mean, they go plenty loud.
Okay.
I mean, if Jimmy doesn't agree with me, I'm sorry, but I do feel bad for him. He was in my thoughts this whole time that we wanted to do this, as if we did it somewhere else. If we were organizing Boats and Floats, we'd be concerned about all the people who are in that cove.
Could I ask you a question? Since this is going to be a floating stage, basically is what you're telling us, why does it have to be at Goat Island?
It doesn't.
My whole point, if there's so much angst about this.
The idea is that people are there anyways.
Excuse me, I'm talking. If so much angst about this, why haven't you taken into consideration a new location? Okay. Because if it's going to float, it ain't going to matter where it's at.
I don't believe there's that much angst about it. I think you have a very passionate family who lives right there. Okay. Other than that, I think the community wants this wholeheartedly. I don't have 100 people here to support, but there are Facebook groups where people are very excited about this. Daryl Harwood has literally thousands of fans that are excited for this. I mean, only a fraction of those could possibly show up because of requiring a boat. But Goat Island already has the people. They're already there. They're there whether we do anything or not. So if we don't do this event, what do you think is going to happen that Sunday? There's going to be a lot of loud music and people on boats, and wildlife will be out there. And so it's the perfect place to do this. It's I know this lake very well. There's no other place better to do this. If you did it somewhere else, there's places where you could upset more neighbors. But I don't know, how upset can you get at like 1 to 3 p.m., with a family-friendly country band? I mean, he just plays cover songs off the radio. I think that's the perfect choice. I think it's the only choice. I think any other choice we could possibly come up with would be difficult to. There'd be more people to upset, and it'd be difficult to let anybody know. Like as far as the people already being there, organizing an event. I mean, that's the easiest thing. You're just taking people who are already out there. You're just controlling which music plays.
You ever had your boat on Lake Norman?
The type of stuff that we're trying to do is on every lake. It's just on every lake. I mean, some lakes actually, High Rock Lake, unfortunately, is not a very used asset of the county as far as that whole quality of life. There's people who live on the lake who want nobody else to enjoy the lake, right? The peace and the quiet. And I mean, it's beautiful when it's peaceful and quiet, you know, fishing and whatever. There are spots on any lake where things are more quiet and things are more not, and that's usually the people who use the lake. You mentioned FERC earlier in the meeting. FERC gives permission to Cube Hydro, formerly Alcoa, to manage the dam, and part of that agreement that they have to operate the dam is that the public has to have the right to recreate on the surface of the lake, not on the edges of the lake, which can belong to Alcoa and be their property. Well, even then, they have hunting rights. But you're allowed to boat and listen to music. And basically, we're boating and listening to music. I would like to point something out that it came up like, do we even need to get a permit? Like, it was very weird. And actually, ironically, one of the reasons I wanted to get a permit was hopefully to appease Jimmy going through the process, because I feel like we could have just done this. We're not any different than if a boat turns its music up. I don't see, is there a law that says I can't jump on a microphone? But we wanted to get everybody on board, you know, so I took a risk. I said, let me go to the county planning, let me pay the $50, try to get, you know, everybody bought off on it, right? Of course, there's going to be, there's room for people to get upset, but I don't believe there's all this angst about it. You have a very passionate family, and I feel bad if, I feel Goat Island's not going away for them. This doesn't change anything. This doesn't make Goat Island worse. I don't think it's going to be any different as far as the litter, the trash, the security, the trespassing. I just personally don't see it. I mean, they're welcome to disagree, and they're welcome to offer a rebuttal. But I don't think this is that big of a deal.
So is this an actual? So you're not charging anyone. You're just going to go out there and play music.
No, we're Daryl just raises money. So like I said, he didn't charge. Boats and floats didn't cost anything, which was hosted at TJ's High Rock Restaurant, which is at the end of that cove that you can see on this map here, and he raised $10,000.
I mean, are they going to go around from boat to boat and ask for donations, or
Mm-hmm.
is that?
It'll be. We'd like to promote this. There's only a couple days. Right, it's not a big deal to us that time's running out. That you know, I had to come in front of you guys if I wanted your blessing on it. That it didn't bother me that time is short between now and the event, because we're not really trying to blow this out of the water. We just want to see how it goes. I mean, we have a lot of logistic stuff from here about just the equipment and keeping it safe and keeping the people on the thing safe, but it makes me feel good that we got buy-off from all the relative agencies. And not only did they buy off, you know, they think it's good. The sheriff, wildlife, Miller's Ferry, they're the people out there dealing with the drunk people. They're the ones out there issuing the citations. They're the ones out there rescuing people that are doing dumb things like hanging on to a moving boat. And they've all endorsed this and said, how can we help?
So you won't have like, you're not going to have like security or show pro people out there or anything like that?
I mean, it's not that big of a band. It's a local band. No, Daryl's just a normal guy. He works a 9-to-5 job. He works down in Charlotte doing something with metal, I think.
So if something happened on their property, are he responsible for anything that happens? Or are you
Well,
saying
I
that's-
think that if somebody got hurt on my property, it'd be like Daryl Harwood slipped and hit his head on my pier, because I can, I don't want to say I convinced him. We had this idea it'd be cool to have live music, and then Daryl was like, man, I've always wanted to do that. It's been a dream of mine. And they do stuff like this out at Lake Norman and other lakes, and he's heard about it and wanted to do something right here in Rowan County, where he's, that's where his heart is. If he got hurt, I suppose he's the one who could come after me and say, Mikey, and it's your little floater thing, so I guess I'd be calling my homeowner insurance and hoping something was covered. But I'm not worried about other people getting hurt, that whatever people are doing, that they're already out there. And like I said, I mean, sometimes when you're out there, you can imagine whoever has the loudest radio, they're the one who wins and gets to control the song. Well, you know who gets to control the radio? The one with the big speakers are the ones who like the rap music and the not family friendly stuff. But this is just us saying, hey, we control the music's going to be country on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really boat, so I've never been out there.
You should. High Rock Lake is a great place.
So are there going to be issues if you show up and the other people there and say who's can get their music louder and who's in control of the area? Or how would that work?
I don't think so. Everybody out the island, there's weird social etiquette. So it's weird, but people don't. If there's an area, the island's kind of big enough that there'll be different music on one. If you look at the island as a circle, mostly it faces southwest because there's a sandy beach. That's where people like to be. And it's big enough that usually there'll be one type of music at one end of the island and one type at the other. But like if I pulled up and was playing music and I don't have a loud radio, and it's not my style to be that way anyways, but I usually turn my radio off because somebody's louder than me next to me. It's no fun if people are competing. They all get along. I mean, people are out there. It's a very social thing. For the good and bad of it. The bad is the things that they mentioned. Yeah, I mean, there's drunk people. Oh, and as far as the litter goes, I've organized 2 Goat Island cleanups, and we haul out a lot of trash. That has nothing to do with Daryl Harwood playing out there. That's just, I'll tell you who it is. It's not the people who live on High Rock Lake who come out there every weekend. It's the people who come out like July 4th, Memorial Day, and they tow their boats in, and those ones generate more trash. I mean, it's horrible. You find diapers and beer bottles and broken beer bottles and stuff, and we go out there once or twice a summer, and we come out with 10 to 20 large bags of trash. We're also the group, when I say we, my group of friends, we're also the ones that all volunteer for the High Rock lake sweep that happens in the fall. So, I mean, we care about the lake and we care about the trash on the lake. We like where we socialize and we don't want it to be dirty, and so we've gotten used to picking up other people's trash. So I don't know if I'm convincing anybody, but I don't think this is going to be anything a big deal compared to somewhere between a normal Sunday and like a Memorial Day Sunday.
All right, any other questions for Mikey? All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, any other comments?
May I rebut what he said?
Nope, we kind of got one round. So we understand. We understand. Yeah, I don't think so. All right.
Shane?
Yeah. So is there anyone else that would like to get up and speak that hasn't spoken yet? Or if not, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Craig. All right.
So, so I guess he was saying something about whether or not he actually had to get a permit. Is there any thoughts around that?
Definitely does. Anything with amplified sound in the county requires a permit to exceed, or you're subject to the noise standards.
And do we do this quite often?
Generally, about 3 a year.
Okay.
So the people that go out there every weekend and crank it all up, they're exceeding but don't have a permit?
I would view that no differently than if it's at their home. I don't know how often folks get complaints, but generally the problem with this too, the standard in the noise ordinance has got to be open to the public. So if you have a private event that is just at your home, then you cannot apply for a permit to exceed. So anything that's open to the public, just like the Dragon Boat Festival, anything, the one a couple months ago, David Velasquez, those are subject to the noise ordinance, just like private events, but those are not able to get the permit to exceed, as is currently written in the ordinance.
So if you've got the great big speakers and it's on your boat and you're in a public water, that's not a public thing? It's considered a private.
Well, I mean, granted, definitely the public's limited because if you don't have a boat, you have to find a way there, but it's still not a closed event for, you know, an individual or a small group.
Anything else? So, many of you know I grew up in Florida. I grew up in a town called Winter Haven, which is about the size of Salisbury. Their nickname was the City of 100 Lakes. Now, they really didn't have 100 lakes, but that's what they called it. And all the lakes were connected by canals. It's a cool place to grow up. Learn to ski there. It's the hometown of Cypress Gardens. If those of you who are older know Cypress Gardens is the water ski capital of the world. And on Tuesday and Thursday nights and Friday nights and Saturdays, everyone went and got in their boat, and you could get to any lake in the chain of lakes from any other lake because they were all connected by canals. And so lake life was a big deal in Winter Haven, Florida, where I grew up. And I've not spent a tremendous amount of time on Lake Norman, but a fair amount as guests, where we get on sea-doos and ride or in boats. And I don't think there's a time that I've not been there where we've seen hundreds of boats tied up together. Never a concert. I've never witnessed a concert. But this seems to be kind of what happens on lakes, is people up together and socializing together. Our state magazine had an article and featured High Rock Lake as North Carolina's second largest lake, and they highlighted a big group of boats that ties up some night. I don't know if it's every week or once a month, where they have a potluck dinner. Now, I'm sure that potluck group is probably not as loud as what this will be. But, you know, I am hoping that High Rock Lake will be recognized for the asset that it is to this community. We lose a lot of folks to other communities because of the issue of quality of life, what's perceived quality of life. And a lot of folks don't know about High Rock Lake. One of the genius things that the Chamber has done with their Dragon Boat Festival is getting people out to the lake who have not experienced High Rock Lake before. The first time I went to the Dragon Boat Festival, I was amazed at the people who stood on the shores and watched the activity, who said they lived in Rowan County and who have never been on the lake before. That shocked me. And so High Rock Lake is an unbelievable asset for this community. I want to say this, Jim Shepard is a good friend of mine. I've known Jim for as long as I've been here. I've met his mother several times. I've not known his sister until tonight, but Jim's a good guy. Mikey Wetzel's a good friend of mine. Mikey came here like I did from another community, and he sees the potential in this community and wants things to get better. So I'm torn between two friends, but I support what is trying to be done here. I asked about the idea of an MC, not necessarily an official MC, but, you know, we had someone in our chambers here a few weeks ago who has continually messed up, and so we denied that permit until they can show us over the next year that they're responsible enough to respect their neighbors. We do have permits to exceed noise that come in here, Ms. Shepard, quite often. That's just the process, is we do have a noise ordinance, but people want to exceed that, so we have this process of going about permitting those. And if those folks violate the spirit of that, then we don't do it again. So and all of those folks where we approve those, they have neighbors. So we're talking about events that go from 1 in the afternoon until, are they 11 or 12 o'clock, Shane? 11 or 12 o'clock at night, approaching AM. So to have a Sunday event from 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, I don't think is unreasonable. And I certainly don't say this to be disrespectful to my friend, because Jim Shepard is my friend. The lake is owned by all of us. And so we have to be giving in some respect, but we also have to be cognizant of folks like the Shepards, who are good folks. And so I personally am willing to vote to give this variance, and we'll see how that goes. And I would ask that, Mikey, if you're organizing this, and I know you're a serious guy, that some announcements be made from the microphone as this event begins, that folks are watching, and that this is the first time we've had an event like this. And you guys have got to keep your nose clean, and you can't litter, and you can't throw bottles in the water, and you got to pick up. And announcements need to be made like that, because frankly, I'd like to see more activity happen of a quality type nature on High Rock, but this could blow it. So I know you live on the lake. You're not coming from Greensboro and trying to ruin people's lives. You live on the lake, and you want a good quality of life on the lake. And so I appreciate the time you put into it. So we have PE 02-19. I'll make a motion that we approve it, and I'll ask if there's a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
So it doesn't sound like it's very organized to me, but maybe that's just the plan of it. I've never heard of Goat Island, I guess, till tonight. And so if it really is a Sodom and Gomorrah out there, I think having Daryl Harwood would be better than what normally happens out there. But I don't, I'm kind of like you with the Brodeo. We gave them a chance, and then the next time they came, we showed where there was, 30-some phone calls of complaints about what they did. So I don't know how we can quantify what happens out here for the future. I guess I would vote for it this time to see what happens. If you're going to have people out there anyway causing problems, maybe having country music out there might calm them down some. I don't know. So I'm willing to vote for it once, but I want to see what happens with it. And
well, I would say the positive thing is, since this is an event and we have a lot of commitment from the Sheriff Department, from, who is it? Wildlife. And Miller's.
Wildlife said to me that they were against it.
Okay.
Well, I talked to them.
I talked to Wildlife, the one over Wildlife for Rowan County. He
Okay.
gets to speak one, I get to speak.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll move on to item number 9, financial reports from our financial director.
The first graph shows annual cumulative revenue comparisons. At the end of May of this year, we had collected $127.2 million, which is 89% of budget. A year ago, we had also collected 89% of budget.
I would like
No.
to invite any of you to come to my home on High Rock Lake. It's 995 Ned Marsh Road, and witness this personally.
All right, thank
So you can understand.
you, Ms. Shepard.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Uh-huh. Okay.
The next graph is the expenditure comparisons. We've spent, through the month of May, $129 million, which is 82% of budget. That's in range with what we have spent the last 2 years. The next graph shows property tax collections. We've collected $78.5 million, which is 98% of budget. A year ago, we had collected 99% of budget. And the last two graphs have to do with sales tax. So far this year, we've collected $17.2 million, which is 70% of budget. The two previous years at this point, we had collected 67% of budget. We're having a good year in sales tax. The collections are up 8% over prior year.
Any idea what you predicted? What number you used for budget for last year?
We used, during the current year, $24.8 million.
Well, no, so you guys use a percentage increase each year that,
Yes.
10 or 5% or something?
I use 6%.
6%, so we're a little above that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the last graph just shows monthly collections, and you can tell from the red line that we are, consistently greater than prior years, even though month to month it varies a great deal.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, item number 10, budget amendments. Motion to approve budget amendments.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion, second, and a third. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Pierce, do you have a motion for us?
We haven't done board reports yet, have we?
No, we don't have any, I don't think.
For Juanito.
Move to adjourn.
There we go. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.